All right, welcome to video number 14, homework 5, help videos for questions 7, 10, and 11. Now, we haven't even checked this in class, but I wanted this out there just to give you more time to get more acquainted with these questions. So, just like, let's look at number 7, just like all rational functions that we're going to add, let's find our lowest common denominator. Step 1, though, is to factor everything. Look at number 7, everything is factored. So what we do is in lowest common denominator, the LCD, is take all those factors and plug them into the LCD. So we're definitely going to use 3 from the first fraction, and then from the second one, we're going to take x plus 6. So our lowest common denominator should end up looking like 3 times x plus 6. So on the left side, in order to get that, we must multiply by x plus 6 over x plus 6, which is a special case of 1. So like always, we are changing the look, but not the value, because we're multiplying by 1. It should still be the same value. On the right-hand side, we're going to multiply by 3 over 3. Okay? So what I'm going to do, which is very interesting, is I'm going to multiply the numerators, but I'm going to leave the denominators factored. And that's because at the very end we want to see if we can cancel anything else out, or we're going to cancel anything out. Okay, so now let's take a look at this. Let's multiply. Step 3, let's multiply across. Whoa, we get 4x squared minus 3x plus 24x minus 18. Where did all those come from? You are multiplying a binomial, so you must FOIL. You must multiply the first, you must multiply the outer, then you multiply the inner, and then you multiply the last. So you get 4 terms. 4 terms there. Okay? Now, the denominator is 3 times x plus 6. Just put the number in front of the parentheses. That's the only change. The right-hand side, 3 times 5 is 15. And there you go, 3 times x plus 6 in the denominator. So now we can combine everything. In this case, it says to add. Next week, in a few days, we'll subtract. The only things that are common are negative 18 and 15. So what we do is combine our denominators and combine the ones that are like. 4x squared, there's nothing else to add to it, but 21x comes from the negative 3x and the 24x. The negative 3 comes from negative 18 and 15. Oops. Oh, no, we're good. Let's find our excluded value. We can do this now. We have our LCD. Whenever you have the LCD, you can automatically do that. The only number that we can't have here is negative 6. Now, boom, these are the final answers. Whoops. What you would like to do is try to factor 4x squared plus 21x minus 3, but it does not factor anymore. All right, so that's why that's our final answer. We would like to factor more and cancel out with the x plus 6 or cancel out with the 3, but it doesn't do that. So we have to leave it alone like that. Okay? Now going on to number 10. Step 1, factor. In this case, we do have to factor. 7, there was no factoring. 10, we do. 4m plus 3 doesn't factor, but the 9m minus 9, it does factor. Factor out a 9. And our LCD is going to be 3 times 3 times m minus 1. And we're like, what? Where did the 3 times 3 come from? Well, 9 is not prime. So we take a look at 9 and see it as 3 times 3. You already have this 1, 3 here, right? So what we'll do is we need the second, what? I can't do yellow on yellow. Let's try blue. We need the second 3 and the m minus 1 to be in our lowest common denominator. We don't need 3 3s, we just need 2. The most we have are 2, so we need to have 2 in the lowest common denominator. Alright, now, to change the left side, what's missing is a 3 and an m minus 1, so multiply by 3 and m minus 1. On the right-hand side, we are missing nothing, so we just leave that alone. Let's multiply things out. 3 times 4m is probably the easier thing to do, so I did 12m times m minus 1. Next, combine them. 12m squared minus 12m, that's when we multiply this and this. And then you bring down the 4, so add 4 to it. And we get 12m squared minus 12m plus 4. You can try to break that down, we can divide out 2, but nothing cancels with the denominator, so we will leave it just like that. You could divide out 2 if you wanted to, but this is fine. This answer is fine. It doesn't break down, or it does not simplify anymore. But the thing is, you would like to try to simplify it. And your excluded value is m not equal to 1. And remember, that's our asymptote when we decide to graph these things. All right, number 11. We have an advanced trinomial. in the second fraction, so we got to deal with that. We take the 6 over 3, and if you can catch it early enough, reduce it. Reduce it to 2 over 1. Right now, we factor the denominator. First step, if I go back a step, boom, is I divide it out of 3, and then factor the basic trinomial to get x plus 6 and x plus 6. Now let's look for our LCD. Left-hand fraction is just 1, so we don't really include that. The right hand, we must have 3, x plus 6, and x plus 6. Okay, next step is to multiply and change the fractions to get the lowest common denominator. So, and our excluded value is x cannot be negative 6. So now the left-hand side needs to change, so we multiply by 3 times x plus 6 times x plus 6. And I put x plus 6 squared there because people keep asking, can you do that? Yeah, you definitely can do that. So I showed that there. Let's see. I show that right here. That's the same as this. Okay, now we start multiplying. 2 times 3 is 6. That's this 6. And then multiply this out to get this. Right hand side stays the same. And then we multiply the 6, distribute the 6. So you get 6x squared plus 72x plus 216 plus x plus 3. Going to combine the 72x with the x, the 216 with the 3. 6x squared stays the same. You get all of that, plus 73x and 219, all over all of that. Nasty enough, we should try to factor it. Sadly enough, though, you do all that work, nothing will happen because that's as low as it'll go. So that's your answer, and you're excluded, with your excluded, with your excluded value, x not equal to negative 6. All right, thank you very much.